Holy playoff panic.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
This is Flight Check, Season 4, Episode 8.
We don't even know what season it is.
Oh, I hope we're not back in 2023.
Well, this playoff series felt like we were back in 2023.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
It
Tough,
was a bit of a...
close weekend, but we managed to survive, and we go again. We go again this weekend versus a resurgent Cloud9. And we'll talk all about it tonight. NACL. Gonna cover down on Fragadelphia, the city of brotherly frag, as some people refer to it. Some people basically being me right now.
Yeah.
My name, as always, is Sanditos, and I have the honor and pleasure of having these two fellas to my left and my extra left, Noxwar and Curly Double Q. Fellas, I'm bringing a bit of a tired yet wired energy to the show tonight.
Picked up on that.
So, I expect you to follow along and play along at home.
We can get into the groove.
Excellent. Long weekend. I only caught the Thursday and Friday matches. Was unable to see Saturday, Sunday. Was working most of the weekend. How about you guys? What did you, besides LCS, what were your weekends like? Get up to anything fun?
Well, I mean, it was St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Oh yeah, you bartended. 2 a.m. wasn't it?
I wasn't bartending the whole time. I set up in the morning, and then I was just there on call, finishing setting up, taking care of things, and then at 6 o'clock I was just there all day just to party because I persuaded my friends to come up, I persuaded other people to come up, and so I was like, all right, I got to be there for them, and I lasted all the way until 2 a.m. and it was a great time. It was a delightful time, and then I woke up the next day at 9 a.m. and I cleaned everything up at the bar. So yeah. Good times to be had.
Nice and easy.
That's perfect.
Yeah, no sweat.
What about you?
I ended up celebrating both my and my dad's birthday on Saturday, in which case my stepsister set up a mini golf course via the use of red Solo cups, books, and other various objects around the house, and we did a whole 9-hole course in our house of mini golf.
Wow.
So it was fun. Just kind of sat around drinking with my family, playing mini golf at our own house, which is definitely an experience and just a good time. Sunday, I did absolutely nothing whatsoever, and it was fantastic.
That sounds very, very nice indeed. Yeah, I don't have much to report on my end. Friday night, a friend of ours who does not community theater, like theater. She got nominated for an award. She does choreography for plays.
Okay.
She got nominated for an award in the area, and we did a surprise party for her.
Nice, that's cool.
To celebrate the nomination. So we all dressed up and snuck into their apartment, and she was ready to fight when they opened the door, which was funny.
Understandable.
All you hear is a loud gasp, and she did not enter the threshold, which is what you should do if you open the door and you see 8 shadowy figures in your house. That would be my recommendation, is don't go in. And who else I would say don't go into? Well, that would be FlyQuest LCS, the LCS team. Going in on a lot of fights. Going in on a lot of unnecessary fights. And just generally causing a panic in our blood
I hate
pressure,
when they generally cause a panic.
in our FlyQuest stocks. Crazy series against Team Liquid. Going the distance 3-2. Probably going to be the bulk of our conversation tonight, frankly. That and, like, where the hell do we go from here? So, let's discuss it. Curly, asking you first.
Yeah.
I want your one big takeaway from this series, and then Knox, I'm going to ask you the same after.
One big takeaway is we need to really work on putting our players in the right place and not letting teams run down our mid lane while we put ourselves in a shit position.
Mm.
And other general macro problems.
Knox, how about you? What's your one big takeaway from the series this weekend?
I would say this was a series where we did not play our style. We played Team Liquid style, which is weird because this is not the style that Team Liquid has had all split long. This is what the style that they've been showing in scrims. They finally brought out Scrim Team Liquid, the one that's supposedly been doing well this whole time,
Right.
and they finally did it on stage. Did we come out on top? Yes, but it is not reassuring the fact that we played their style of game all 5 games. Like, if we play Cloud9 style coming into next week, it's not going to be good. So that's kind of my big takeaway.
Yeah. Crazy series. I think my takeaway is we have to we just have to be smarter about a lot of things. But we have to pick our battles better. Pick our fights better. Engaged in far too many bad, unnecessary fights. Chased way too many times. Just a lot of choices made that I felt hindered our ability to take care of business quickly rather than, close things out. I think game 3 could have been closed out a lot cleaner. I think game 1 could have been closed out a lot cleaner. And there were opportunities, I think, to win game 2. So just wild all around. We gotta play smarter. Knox, you had your hand up.
So I'm going to ask the question, Sandy. I'm going to ask you. Do you know what I'm going to ask?
Should we be worried?
Did you watch Pros this morning?
No, I did not watch Pros this morning. I was at work.
Guess who was on Pros?
Whippo, APA?
It was Yeon and APA. It was double TL Pros section.
Oh,
and so the one thing, and I'm
also, I think
very
it's Yon, not Eon.
Or Yon. The one thing I really agree with Yon on is he kept saying that it was just everyone from both sides was just in any form of pathing. If they saw someone, it was like see red, be dead, or whatever it was. Basically, just like it was on site, and that was kind of basically what it was. And both teams were in that same mindset, and so that's just the one thing is like I don't want to see that again from FlyQuest because that's not how they've been playing this whole split.
Right.
I think honestly, if this was a Team Liquid podcast, I'd be saying I want to see more of that. That was great from Team Liquid. Let's see more fighting from Team Liquid. I like that, but for FlyQuest, that is not what your style's been this whole split, and I need you to reel it back a little bit.
We got a bit too hyphy. We got real hyphy on that.
No, that is for sure. Yeah, very hyphy. Just again, I keep saying it, but it's true. Just a really wild series all around. Let's start by let's talk about some of the drafts as I pull up our
oh my god, the draft.
Pull up all our matches.
Drafts were a bit all over the place for me, if I'm being honest.
You got Whippo on Renekton. in, ironically, all of our wins. Pick Renekton for Bwipo, and we win. We lost on Udyr, and we lost on Volibear.
Volibear.
That Volibear loss hurt my soul.
I mean, let's just be frank. That comp, that game 4 was bad. Just the pike did not work. Yeah. It was just disappointing.
Yeah, the pike was just an odd thing. That really felt like, oh, okay, we're up 2-1. Like, we can get a little fancy with it. And it's just like, I don't know. And everything I had seen in the first 3 games, like, you guys are not playing well enough to utilize Pike right now.
Right.
I know Busio plays it. I know he has experience on it, but I don't think the team, because Pike takes a lot of coordination, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to really understand, like, hey, here's where our picks are going to be. Here's how we want to fight around it, so on and so forth. The team was not playing well enough to be able to do that kind of thing. And so it really frustrated me seeing the Pike come out right there. Like, if this was like 2-0 and the games have been relatively clean, like, by all means, take it out. You have a 2-game buffer before you need to start worrying, but this was not a clean series at all. And I was kind of frustrated seeing the Pike come out because I knew the moment it was locked in, not even seeing the gameplay, I was like, this is not going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, not my favorite comp in this series. I did love the Annie in Game 5. That was great from Jensen. I will say this is not a comp discussion. I thought Jensen, even in the losses, had a fantastic series.
Yeah, Jensen was impeccable. I say begrudgingly. He had, it's far and away the best player on both teams. He was actually really, really, really good.
He was reliable and consistent the whole time.
11-2-8 on Talia, 7-4-11 on Hui, 6-0-15 on Ari, 3-2-3 on Talia, and then 4-5-13 on Annie. In none of those KDAs, do those sound like losing KDAs? Except maybe the Annie 4-5-13, which we won that game, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all those KDAs sound like ones that you could win on. You know, like, when I talk about, like, a losing KDA, I mean, like, Impact's Rumble in Game 5 going 3-6-7. Or, like, Busio's Pike going 3-5-2 in Game 4. Like, that's, like, a losing KDA. But Jensen, like, went positive every game, and, like, more than that. So to me, like, he was player of the series, for sure. I don't know who actually got it.
I think it was Jensen.
It was Jensen.
Yeah.
It was Jensen.
Yeah, and I think it was well deserved. Anything in particular stand out to you guys about some of the drafts, some of these strategies from literally any of the games? I think we're just kind of taking like a holistic approach to the series rather than go game by game here.
I think the big thing that I noticed is there's someone on Team Liquid, I'm not sure, that plays Volibear because that was banned the entire series outside of the one game we took it away. So clearly that was part of just like, we cannot let Team Liquid have this pick.
Yeah.
And so the Bwipo playing it one game clearly is just like a draft adaptation. Like, okay, if we take it away and it frees up a ban of, I think it's either Ari or Renata. Let me check the other ones. Smolder Vi. Oh wow. So all the other bans were Smolder Vi. That's interesting. Or hold on, that's Team Liquid. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Smolder.
No, but we consistently banned Smolder. We did not want to pick it.
So we banned Senna on that time around. So I guess that was just to try and like mess with draft. Like, okay, we take the Volibear where we add in the Senna ban, and we can adjust the bot lanes. Because that was also the game where we played Kai'Sa and Nikalista, and I mean, it didn't work out, right? But I mean, it was just kind of, let's play around and draft, see what happens if we can like take this away. And it did not end up paying off, but I can see the reasoning behind it.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. Excuse me. I think again, just going back to Jensen one more time, like again, I think this really proves the point that he does not need Azir to succeed.
Nope.
And Orianna was banned
the entire series.
all 5 games. I think it was basically Team Liquid's first ban every game.
Yes, every game it was.
Mm-hmm.
First ban Orianna. And then he just
R1,
pulls out
R1.
4 different champs in a 5-game series and succeeds on all of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jensen,
literally
please keep
R1,
doing
R1,
what you're doing
R1,
for the
R1.
rest of playoffs.
Say it again, Curly?
I said, Jensen, please keep doing what you're doing for the rest of playoffs.
Yeah, totally.
You are the only person on FlyQuest that I think I don't want to see more from. You're doing great.
Well, I don't know. We might need to see more from Jensen, depending on how.
I mean, look, instead of
Things
lifting like the 80-pound weights, you can lift 120-pound weights if that's what we
Sure.
really need.
Totally.
You know? But no, I think the big thing too is Inspired is a hard one to gauge for me this whole game because I don't know how much he could have done with the fact that I don't think I saw once a winning bot lane, even at least in like the early game. Like I know in the last game, Masu was really on it with that Varus.
Yeah.
But like overall, like with the fact that he always had to deal with that, it's hard for me to gauge how well Inspired was able to do his job because like some moments I'm like, all right, this man's jungling, this man's like doing great. And then other moments I'm like, is he really losing jungle to Umti right now? You know?
Yeah.
It's like, and I think that kind of translates to how I felt about our just macro decisions this whole match. Yeah. But you were starting to say, Nox?
I was gonna say I was actually kind of disappointed with Inspired's play this series. I do not think he was performing at the level that he had been this whole split and
Yeah.
like past splits, right? I thought he had an okay game 1. He had a great start to game 2 where he had the back-to-back gank up in top lane and really got Bwipo really far ahead, and then he just completely turned invisible. I don't know where he on Viego of all things too. Like if you get a 2-0 start on Viego, like you should be taking over the game from there, and he did not. He just disappeared after that point. The Jarvan game, like they ended up winning, but if I'm being really honest, it was a really rough early game, and like you look at his KDA of 1-6 and 18, like yeah, it doesn't look terrible, but a lot of that's just Jarvan flag. Like stick down the flag, everyone gets an attack speed buff, you get an assist. Cool, I do that in ARAM all the time. Then game 4, the Vi, I think was again like okay, like he wasn't playing it badly, but like, and I'll be honest, I did not watch game 5. I ended up having to go because I was meeting friends for dinner that night, so I never actually ended up watching game 5. I don't know how game 5 really played out.
Game 4 was actually the one I was happiest with his play because I was like, I'd say that was when he was the most present and most on top of it. But then when everything started falling apart, you couldn't even tell that he had a good early game.
Yeah. The whole team kind of fell off at that point, right? So the point is though, like, you cannot be just having okay games as Inspired for this team. I feel like you need to actually be driving this team forward a little bit. Like, I know you can argue, and it would be a fair argument to say that during the regular season, he was not really pushing teams forward, but he was utilizing his team's lane states to be able to jungle how he wanted to jungle, and that was just a gradual push forward little by little. He did not do these in these games, and he very quickly started falling off and disappearing, and that was frustrating to see. And so going into Cloud9 next week, I hope he's a little more forward pushing and he's a little more aggressive and he shows up a little more on the Rift because Blabber's going to run over him otherwise.
Yeah, I think he looked really good on the Viego in game game 5, 8-2 and 14 on that. But I mean, to me, largely invisible or like a problem in some of the other games. There just wasn't like a ton. There wasn't a ton leaving me feeling inspired, one might say. Heyo.
It's a good joke.
Other conversation I want to talk about is bot lane. Felt like they got kind of beat in this series. I didn't feel like they really outright won a lot. Maybe in game 5, where Masu really pops off on the Varus.
I'd agree.
But it wasn't really the step up moment that I was hoping for, especially because we said, hey, bot lane is really going to have to step up if we want to succeed in playoffs. Felt like they just kind of like stayed where they have been, which is a bit disappointing to me. How do you guys feel about the bot lane performance this weekend?
So I would. Oh, really?
Go for it. No,
okay.
go for it.
Yeah, in lane, I was kind of hoping to see like a little bit of a level up or something. Like okay, it's playoffs time. Let's step up our game a little bit. Let's really, because Yon and Core JJ throughout the regular season, I really did not think was all that impressive, right? And so it's like, okay, this is a great like introductory playoff series for them to play into. Like you can really try and push your advantages in lane, which is like why certain analysts are putting like Masu and Busio in there, like all pros and whatnot, and because they actually go for advantages in lane, so on and so forth. But it was not the case. Yon and Core JJ in lane were extremely dominant this whole series, right? And I mean, credit to Yon and Core JJ. Like, they leveled up. Like, you did not see this duo actually doing what they were doing in the regular season. They really showed up on the day, and they were performing very well in lane, and even outside of lane, they were doing okay, right? And so, I mean, props to them. I was hoping for a little more in lane out of Masu and Busio, but I'm actually still going to give credit where credit's due. I thought outside of lane, they were still doing okay. They were fine. They were still trying to look for picks and looking for fights. I know Masu had a couple massive team fights on various different champions, on the Kalista, on the Varus. So outside of lane, like, are there things to still be improved upon? Yes, but you know what? I saw the Masu that I'd seen in Academy and the NACL who could do these mechanical outplays and look really, really good, and just like, damn, he's styling on them. Like, he showed up a little bit, at least outside of lane. And that's kind of like, okay, at least if we can still get that going outside of lane, there's still going to be hope, right? And so hopefully we can step it up at lane, and I'll be happy. But if not, I will at least lean on the fact that we can show up outside.
Yeah, no,
Oh, go ahead.
I was like, I was impressed with the ability to stabilize despite how everything started. Because again, that last game, they started out, I don't think the best, but then, you know, Masu only died one time, and then he had a huge presence on that Varus and was able to get, what did he end with? Freaking 11, 1, and 12 in his so he really shaped up, and it shows me kind of confidence actually heading into this upcoming round of playoffs, because if you can get through a series like that and end on a ridiculously high KDA, even though you've been getting your ass kicked every freaking laning phase, I think that's really a sign of how your mental is. And you're probably going to go back and work on, all right, how do I not get my ass kicked in lane? You know, so I'm hoping that they were able to learn a lot of lessons from this first round.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a really good takeaway, Curly, that there are a lot of lessons to be learned, I think, from this series. This is the first best of 5 for Masu. Was it Busio's first best of 5 as well?
No, he played one series last year with Double Lift.
Okay, that's fair. And to be fair, I think these guys also definitely did that when they were in Academy as well. They definitely play best of 5s there. But an LCS on stage best of 5 is a little different, right? So hopefully there's things to be taken away from. What I do want to ask you guys is, there was a lot of focus during the broadcast on the all chat and kind of the banter going back and forth between the players. How much do you buy in to this narrative that, like, oh, APA was in their heads and, you know, and whatnot? Nox, I don't know if they discussed this on the pros episode.
They did.
So maybe you could enlighten us as to what was going on there.
So APA says that the only time he really felt that all chatting actually affected the game was in Game 2 when FlyQuest decided to 5-man dive him with absolutely no wave in the bot lane, and TL was able to collapse and completely ace him.
Yeah,
he said that was the only time where he's like, okay, I actually feel like my all chatting really got in their heads, and they're like, okay, F this guy, we got to go mess him up.
Yeah.
And in turn, TL just got the collapse on him, and that's what it was. And at that point, I don't think you saw anything else for the rest of the series from the all chatting. But I mean, hey, I think, and if you go watch pros, he talks about this. But I think honestly, if you do enough all chatting, even if it doesn't always work, just the fact that it's on the off chance that you may affect someone's mental and you may mess up someone's decision making, those are advantages going in your favor. And all it takes is you just doing a little trash talk in all chat. I kind of see why he does it.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. So, because it doesn't take anything to do any trash talking. And honestly, it has benefits outside of game. Like, I know he's kind of got this villain vibe going on now, but I mean, he's a popular guy in the LCS now because of it. Like, people know who he is. And so at any point, whenever, because I'm going to trash talk him a little bit here, when he actually steps up his game a little bit, he's going to be one of the most popular figures in the LCS if he actually gets good.
Right.
So, like, all those reasons, like, you should absolutely be trash talking, in my opinion. And then if you're someone who just can't handle the mental, you can do what Jan does, and you straight up mute everyone in game, including your own teammate, like, which Jan goes on to.
Right.
I mean, I was saying that he was like my solo queue teammates, like just spending more time typing than playing the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I respect the banter and like the all chatting. It would just help if you could back it up next time.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation because, you know, this is a team with like 3 veterans and, you know, 2 younger players. I would expect the veterans to be able to like keep a lid on the emotions, you know, and like say, you know, all right, forget this guy. Everyone mute all at the start of the game. We're not going to talk shit. We're not going to listen to them. And I'll be frank, like, I'm a little disappointed that it got to the point, like we saw in game 2, where they 5-man dove him, and it turned into an ace for Team Liquid. Like, that's the kind of thing that, you know, causes us to, you know, take the series to 5 games rather than, like, you know, it could have been a quick 3-0. Like, let's say we don't do that, and maybe things go better in that game 2 because we don't get aced. And then, you know, we end up winning game 3 as well. And then we're having a different conversation today here on Monday where we're saying, all right, FlyQuest looked good. Should be just fine about Cloud9. But obviously that's going to be a different conversation in a bit. So I just, you know, I need to see better mental from the team next week.
It's funny. So guess who were on our team? Guess who the all chatters were who were replying back to APA?
Jensen, I know, was one of them.
It was all 3 Europeans.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense.
Literally,
that makes sense.
That's what Sven was saying. Is like, no, it's just Europeans. It's just the Europeans.
Yeah.
Like they can't not reply. It's the Europeans.
Yeah.
Yep. As someone who's played on EUS for way too many times, they cannot help but take the bait.
Yeah. Man. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what
it's all right. I mean, here's the thing is hopefully everyone on our team has Jojo P unmuted by now. Because I know he's the shit talker on C9. So that's already the mental game out of the picture.
Yeah, that would certainly be it. All right, any further thoughts on the TL series before we move forward?
I again really just want to emphasize that I think the TL bot lane really stepped up, and even in their Dignitas match, they looked really, really good.
Yeah.
So I will be extremely curious to see how the 100 Thieves matchup goes this coming weekend as well, because, and we'll get into predictions later, I have a feeling we will probably be playing TL again.
Yeah, I don't love that.
I don't.
Yeah, hey, let's talk a little bit of atmospherics around LCS playoffs. Let's discuss some of the other series. Cloud9 crushing 100 Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
And they look back. They look very back and very dangerous.
I
I don't
mean, they
know.
certainly vibe checked 100 Thieves.
Yeah, the vibe check was real. Um, and then 100 Thieves goes down and has a close series against NRG. 3-2 over them. And then TL claps Dig 3-0. Bouncing back like nothing happened. I mean, talk about like strong mental, like going down and just clapping Dig like that is just after a difficult 5-game series. It's impressive.
It was a statement for sure.
Statement for sure. I think my big takeaway right now is that if I had to like re-rank the playoff teams, it'd be like Cloud9 number 1, us and TL at, somewhere in the 2-3, 100 Thieves, NRG, and Dig. Like, to me, this TL 100 Thieves series is just going to go TL's way. I mean, where are you guys landing on it?
Yeah, I'm also leaning Team Liquid on this. Yeah, the way the TL bot lane has leveled up makes me think that basic Meech and Ayla are gonna kind of be put behind, and I think Impact has been so like funnily enough, Impact got soloed by Bwipo, but Bwipo's good, so it kind of makes sense. But like, I think Impact should be able to hold Sniper in check, and then it really kind of comes down to mid lane, right? Like, can Quid abuse APA? And that's kind of where it gets a little iffy. I think Quid's good enough to do it, but is it good enough to actually get meaningful advantages in the game? And that I'm not sure about.
Yeah.
Because I think the rest of the map is going to be going in Team Liquid's favor. So I'm leaning Team Liquid personally. But Curly, you have any opinions on that?
I mean, I really think 100 Thieves, like, they definitely, they got slapped in the face the second they ended playoffs with Cloud9. But the fact that they were able to recover against NRG, and even though it was a 5-game series, I think that'll do decently for their confidence and how they play. And I think it's going to be a very scrappy game. Don't get me wrong, but TL, aside from being able to 3-0 Dig yesterday, the fact that they were able to let us win, especially in the fashion we won when we weren't playing at our peak, I think they're going to be exploited by 100 Thieves. Particularly, I just think River is a better jungler than Umpty. And so I think River's going to do his damnedest to like use that skill gap and put 100 Thieves on his back, So I'm really having a lot of faith. And then I also think Quid has had a much better showing this entire split than APA. So that's kind of been, to me, some of the pressure points you really want to get on that team, because you're right, the bot lane is leveling up, so maybe look out for Yan. And River probably knows, as long as I bully Yan. I mean, hell, if you think back to when River was 007 in our backyard in the last game we had against them, it's like, as long as you can pull something off like that, I think you're great. So shut that bot lane down, which I think River knows to do. 100 Thieves is winning this, but it's gonna be close.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting series. Any parting thoughts for NRG and Dig? I think I'm gonna be very interested to see if NRG makes changes between splits, or if they just try to run it back one more time for summer. And I'll be interested to see what Dig do, because they impressed me. I know they got clapped by TL. But I think if you had put them in a series against NRG and potentially even 100 Thieves, things could have looked different. So I'll be interested to see, like, they might just need, like, 1 or 2 upgrades and they could be there. And it's not like there's, no players out there that they couldn't go and grab. I can think of several on FlyQuest challengers that would probably be very solid additions.
For NRG or for Dig?
For Dig. I mean, honestly, for both, frankly, let's be real. I mean, who would you rather have on your team right now, Palafox or Quad? I mean, I think I'm taking Quad, dude. Like,
That's fair.
It's okay. Do we want to go on a quick NRG tangent, or are we trying to keep this
no. Let's do it. Because this team fascinates me because it's like Ignar goes back to EU, right? And then yes, does the meta shift? Yeah, absolutely. The meta shifts. Teams get better or worse depending on the meta. But who he comes in, and he wants to play the way who he wants to play. And there's a lot of other big voices on that team. And this team just looks incredibly mid. So it's okay, you made a change and you got worse. So what's the common denominator here? The change, right? So now it's okay, do you change out support again? But the problem with that is that Huhi was one of the better looking players on NRG all season. Mm-hmm. So it's this weird rock and hard place, in my opinion, for what NRG should do.
Yeah, so you hit on my entire first point, Sandy, is Huhi does not click with this team. And it sucks because he's actually one of the better performing players on this team, right?
Yeah.
In regards to Palafox, it's very frustrating because he had a great year last year, right? Even before NRG came in summer, even on CLG, he was having a good time on CLG. He was a solid player. He has not had a good split, though. He's had a really, really rough split. And so it's a question of, okay, what was going on? What was wrong? Why are you performing subpar? Is it possible that you are going to be able to get back to or close to the levels that you were performing back in 2023? If so, then yes, we should keep you, right? Because you brought us to quarterfinals of Worlds, you got us our very first championship ever, so on and so forth. The org owes a lot to Palafox. He's earned his right for another split. Because his gameplay has shown that he has the ability to hit those ceilings. And those ceilings are very, very good and are good enough to actually carry this team to a finals and even a championship victory. But it all comes down to, hey, what was the problem? Why were you performing this way? Can you get back to these levels or close to them? And that's what the GM is going to have to figure out. Dokla is another person who I thought was not having a good split.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I know he was sick really, really badly. I think on either week 5 or week 6. I forget which one, but he did not look good. And I personally am of the opinion that basically if there's another change to be made, it's probably topside. I'm a little more I'm leaning more on the side of you should hold on to Palafox and Contracts because they're a good mid-jungle duo. Contracts has been performing decently. Palafox in the past has had good performances. Dokla, on the other hand, has been just solid to good, but this split has not been good. On top of the fact that he, as far as I'm aware, is not a critical shot caller for this NRG team. And so it may be best that if a change is to be made, because there's reasons to keep Hui, you just made the change, he's one of the better performing players. You have Palafox, because historically he has been good and is a great duo tandem with Contracts. You may need to look towards the top side and see what you can do there, because maybe if you get more of just a solid rock in the top lane, that may stabilize things enough to at least make a solid run. Who knows? That's kind of my current thought process on it right now.
Curly, any thoughts on this discussion?
I would agree that the only spot I would probably look into, switching out would be top lane, because it has been an unfortunately down split for him. But to be kind of a bit lenient on this team is we saw more of a ramp up last year with them, you know, like they looked good in spring when they were CLG, like they were solid, but they really started to accelerate in the summer. And that's when they won the split. And so I think this team just kind of needs a bit more time to gel all together and shake out everything that's going on. Cause like, especially, um, spring split is always a weird one to gauge because it's like that's when everyone is figuring out, especially this season, like kind of what the season is going to be like in general. And so there's always going to be growing pains. And if you're not people who can figure out that meta or figure out a strat that is meta proof, you're going to flounder. And this is a case where I think they floundered. Whereas like if as they slowly figure out better ways to play the current like general unchanged things in the game and then figure out their shit in the background, I think by summer this could actually look like a really good team in the energy that we expected in spring. But if you're the GM of energy and you're thinking, okay, I need to switch my players, Dokla would unfortunately probably be the first person I look at. But the other thing is I'm also a big what's going on off the rift. Like, what is the staff looking like? What is the coaching room looking like? You know, like, because that's another major thing that changed last year is like, sure, they swapped out support, but they also really did downsize on coaching staff. And I memed about it last week, but like, it does have a serious impact. Like, funny enough, one of the direct changes is they lost Demonte. We got Demonte. We finished first in this split. And like, you know, how much does a personality like that have an influence on how the team performs? And I'm not saying that it is the Demonte diff, but like also it is. But like if there's something missing from having that particular person missing, you need to figure out how to supplement that, you know? So that's my take on the whole thing. It's like maybe switch it out, maybe give it time, maybe find a new Demonte.
Yeah. I mean, their whole coaching roster just got completely gutted, which I know they attributed a lot of their success last season to. So, yeah, I mean, maybe there is something to it. I don't know. I think they're in a difficult spot. Yeah, I think it'll be difficult for them to figure it out. Real briefly, Dignitas, I think they have space to make a move. If they make one move, I think Dove actually looked pretty decent this split. So did their bot lane. I wonder if you make a move in jungle.
I mean, if you wanted to improve Dig, yeah, it's the jungle angle, right? But the whole point of this Dig roster is to give XU experience and to develop, at least in the LCS, right? Really like get reps under his belt. And so if you take him out now, like it kind of defeats the, like why did you bring him in the first place, right?
Well,
so
I mean, why did Dig stay in the LCS? You know, that's
I mean, you got me on that one, Sandy. I don't know.
Whoa.
I mean, you know, come on.
You got me on that
Golden
one.
Guardians.
So, oh gosh. I mean, look, same question can be asked of like, hey, why did Shopify join just to put together a scrub roster that and barely do any content or interact with the community? So, you know,
it's hard to shake off the shackles of TSM.
No,
like,
it's not.
I'm gonna give them.
It's not. Like,
their spirit is left behind. Are you kidding me?
You flush that roster, except for Insanity probably, and Boogie, down the toilet. Actually, well, that's basically what they did. So, you know. But I repeat myself.
You say that when B-Boy is like objectively one of the best ADCs at the end of this split, despite the rest of his team.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what moves get made. Point is, I think there's some good talent in NACL that's worth giving a shot, and I'll be interested to see what that looks like come summer. All right, let's move on forward.
to NACL, since we're talking about it a little
Well,
bit.
we do have to quickly talk about
Our upcoming series against
our
Cloud9.
upcoming series against Cloud9.
Okay. I thought we were gonna do that later. Okay.
Let's, as I frantically save the predictions graphic in the folder, in the appropriate folder. That is not it. That's last week's.
That is last week's.
That is last week's. Oh my god, this graphic's huge.
Yeah, no, it's...
And... Ta-da! Curly
There we go.
with the insanity, per usual. Knox and I, on the side of good and lawful good. Curly on the side of chaotic good, perhaps. No, actually, I would say we are that.
We're lawful neutral, I would say.
I would argue we're lawful evil because we're saying Cloud9's going to win, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
I could see that.
Lawful evil. And
I am certainly the chaotic good here.
And Curly is certainly the chaotic good in this instance. You know what? I mean, I've got my opinion, but I'm going to put it to the debate between the two of you. Curly, state why FlyQuest at all, and then Knox, provide some counterpoints, please.
I mean, look, the reality is, right, is TL, for whatever reason, seems to be a bit of our kryptonite. And like I've said it in some Discords where it's like, the second we overcame that hurdle, I have instantly become so much more relaxed for the entire rest of playoffs. Because I do not think we will have to face them ever again. Meaning we, FlyQuest, will have a smooth path to victory. And like, sure, you would say after this series, like, but Curly, they were playing so poorly and they like were all over the place and they died a lot. And the only person that like wasn't dying a lot was Jensen. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But it was also only the first series of playoffs for us. And so we had to get the int out. We had to feel out what it's like for a best of 5 with this team. And now we know. And so now we know how to prepare better. And Masu, you know, that like all that green, it's fading off him. He's doing fine now. You know, he literally finished one of the toughest series I've ever seen with one of the best KDAs I've ever seen from a rookie in a best of 5. And so all of the problems were shaken off and concentrated in that one best of 5. And then right now, the players are resting, not even worrying about it. And then tomorrow they're going to hit scrims. They're going to hit the, you know, briefings and all that stuff. And they're going to be so honest with each other about how bad that series was. And they're going to figure out how to address it. And then it's going to be fine. Because Cloud9, they had it easy. They had an even greener roster to face for their first best of 5. So of course they went 3-0, you know? That 3-0 to me is less valid than our 3-2. And so I don't think C9 is dominant. I think they just were able to shoot a rabbit as it was trying to get some berries in the wood. You know? We actually have skill. And we're going to be better. And then honestly, I just think Jensen's going to be better than Jojo P. And I know that Bwipo's going to be better than Fudge, despite Knox's claims of getting his butt kicked by Fudge all split.
Claims, he says, as he still hasn't gone back and watched the tape.
So it seems
he didn't get his butt kicked.
So it seems pretty narrative based from you, Curly. Knox,
whatever you want.
Let's go to you and get your take.
So it's very interesting that Curly says that he thinks Team Liquid is our kryptonite. I would like to remind the court what FlyQuest's franchise record is versus Cloud9.
Oh my goodness.
The court of public opinion. Yes.
The franchise record.
FlyQuest currently, as of the last time FlyQuest played them in the regular season, is now 12-37 against this org. We do not win against this org.
Yeah.
It is horrendous. Okay? Okay, so now that we've got the franchise stuff out of the way, because let's be honest.
To be fair, I'm going to interrupt here for 1 second.
Okay.
If we're going to discuss a rivalry, what we end up having to figure out is like who we like have the most, like who's like almost 50-50, right? Who like it's back and forth with, you know, all the time. That would be like the true rival, I guess,
right.
in terms of team. But I digress. Please continue.
Anyway, getting to actual analysis of the gameplay, I will give Curly some credence that while Bwipo has not been losing the game, he has been losing lane to Fudge. You can go back and you can watch both Cloud9 games this split. He did lose lane both times to Fudge. It did happen. On top of that, I think Blabber's kind of figuring himself out a little bit, while Inspire did not look good this past weekend, which makes me extremely nervous in that aspect. JoJo is still the one person who does consistently just beat everyone in lane. It does not matter who it is. It could be Jimenez, it could be Quid. It doesn't matter. Like, he consistently is the best laner in the LCS. So Jensen is going to have to look to find success outside of lane, in my opinion. The bot lane is interesting because I don't think Berserker is back yet. I don't think he's back yet. However, Masu and Busio have not been winning lane. They've been doing great outside of lane. So that's really where it starts to get interesting, right? Is if Masu and Busio can survive outside of lane and really kind of gather around with the rest of the team, there's areas where the team can find winning moments, right? But in general, I think the head-to-head matchups are just not in FlyQuest's favor currently. If Inspired kind of goes back to how he's been playing the early rest of the split, I think it will be a little bit closer, but I think Blabber's kind of back in his groove a little bit. I'm going to need Bwipo to really step up and go even in lane with Fudge, because Fudge has been doing really, really well. And then I'm going to need JoJo to not pop off outside of lane, because he's been just destroying in lane, and I need Jensen to hold the zone. There's a lot weighted against FlyQuest here, is what I would say.
Wow. Thorough.
Sandy, you want to toss in your 2 cents on this?
Yeah, I'll bring in my 2 cents. I don't think... here's what I think. I think after the break, we did not look as good. I don't think we have improved since resuming from the break.
I would agree with that.
And Cloud9 has not looked amazing. They didn't look amazing at the end of regular season, but they looked really, really good against 100 Thieves. And I trust them to perform in a best of 5 at pretty much any given time. So I do think it'll be close. I think we will learn something, and we'll bounce back, and we'll, it'll probably be like a 3-2. But I just don't... I don't see Cloud9 in a best of 5 scenario where they can adapt, where they can be at their best. I don't see them dropping this series ultimately. And I think we're going to wind up playing TL again. And hopefully we do not have a repeat of last spring where we fall down to losers finals and not make it to MSI. Because, boy, would that be 2 years of disappointment in a row.
In the off chance that we somehow are in losers finals and we play on that Saturday, I just need a permaban on Malphite just cuz.
Yeah,
just cuz.
No Malphite. All right. Yeah, and then real briefly, I have TL in that series versus 100 Thieves. How about you guys?
Yeah, also going TL.
100 Thieves.
Oh boy! Didn't you have 100 Thieves over Cloud9, Curly?
Maybe.
Oddly silent on that response.
Fascinating.
Interesting.
Maybe.
All right. Let's hit NACL playoffs, because that's also a thing that's going on, and some wild stuff going on in there. Supernova gets taken down.
Dude. Yeah.
which was kind of crazy, by Maryville. And Maryville gets taken. Maryville takes them down in losers bracket because Maryville lost to Disguised.
There were 3 out of the 4 matches on the upper bracket. 3 out of the 4 of them were upsets, and there was almost 4 upsets because FlyQuest almost lost the match to AOE.
Yeah,
like
NACL playoffs are crazy. So yeah, round 1. Fear beats Wildcard, Disguise beats Maryville, TL beats Supernova. And those are all upsets, by the way. And then we barely beat AoE, basically.
Off some amazing heroics from Sajid.
Yeah.
Sajid. Like, holy shit, that save was insane.
And then the upsets continue because AoE beats Wildcard. Yeah. And then Maryville beats Supernova, which is crazy. We beat Cincinnati Fear, which I think we expected. We expected that we would beat whoever won the Wild Card Fear series. And then TL Challengers beats Disguised, which I think would have been expected. That was not much of an upset, I don't think.
Not an expected matchup, but yeah, an expected result.
Yeah. So now it's us versus TL Challengers in a best of 5. I expect, although I don't know if I can say that right now, but I expect us to win that. Oh, double Fly versus TL possibilities this weekend, by the way, if we drop to losers brackets. And then you've got Disguised versus AoE and Cincinnati Fear versus Maryville. I expect Maryville to bounce back. Frankly, they should be expected to make it through to losers finals. Frankly, they should probably make it all the way back to grand finals. I think it's the losers bracket run for them, which could be concerning because maybe they just built up a whole ton of momentum in losers bracket. I could really see that happening.
I just think the narratives are too strong to resist, like a FlyQuest versus Maryville, where you have Spearaxe and UG fighting FlyQuest challengers and LCS Arena.
Totally.
Like, that's too good. That's too good.
Yeah. It is crazy.
So,
yeah, Knox, I just want to ask you what your big takeaways from the NACL playoffs are so far.
I don't know what happened going into playoffs, but everyone just decided, man, like, we are getting our crap together. Like, and that's just what it was. And I think the top 4 teams were just not prepared for everyone to, like, really level up. It was like, oh, we're, like, tryharding now. Okay. And so you get Maryville versus Supernova matchups, which is completely messed up, by the way. That should not be happening. And then on top of that, you have Fear showing up Wildcard. Wildcard dropped out early too, and I had a lot of respect for Wildcard. I thought they were like the 4th best, 5th best team in the league. Yeah, it's just insane. I don't know what it is because it doesn't feel like there's a super lot to play for, right? My understanding, and let me know if y'all have heard anything on this, but that international tournament for Tier 2 is not happening in spring, it's happening in summer, so you don't have an international tournament you're playing for. The money, I mean, don't get me wrong, the money's always nice, right? But it's not like a super big funded amount of money or anything that you're getting. There's only 8 teams in the LCS currently, so I mean, you're already having to fight people like Spica and Licorice who don't have teams to get slots. I don't know. It feels kind of rough right now as an NACL player. So it's just, I love to see the fact that everyone's still trying so hard and really going at it. That's kind of my overall takeaway. It's like, it looks like players are just really giving it 110%, and it's making some fantastic games.
I mean, on the other hand, you could make the argument that there are 4 teams in the LCS that might be looking to make changes.
Absolutely true too. Totally.
Valid. Very
NRG,
valid.
Dig, Immortals, and Shopify could all make changes. Like us, Cloud9, TL. Well, I mean, maybe TL, depending on how things go. And 100 Thieves, I don't expect to make any changes going into summer. But the other half of the league could easily move 1 to 2 people. This is your opportunity, if you're in the NACL, to show what you got. to make our second. I guess we made a Rick and Morty reference before the show started, but second one of the night. Show me what you got. Yeah. So I think it's good to see that like players are going hard. Certainly is. I love a good upset. I love unless it's against my team, right? But like, love a good upset story. Love a good underdog. It's March Madness, you know.
I gotta do my bracket. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, I gotta do a bracket too. I could do like 4 brackets. It's Cinderella season. So there's a lot that can happen in a playoff bracket. Things get crazy. Momentum is real. And people choke under pressure. So we will see what happens. Knox, do you have a prediction for the FlyQuest TL series? Is it this week?
Yes, it should be this week. I'm trying to see if it's on Thursday or if it's just like Saturday, Sunday.
It is Friday. Friday at 8.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go with a 3-1 Fly C. I did not catch any of the TLC games because, if I'm being completely honest, I was not expecting to make it this far. So, admittedly, I'm having to go off of regular season a little bit, right? In which case, I have not been impressed with Keel, which sucks because I thought Keel was great in the past. Romer has just been okay. Spawn has just been okay. Kim Down has been good. I thought Jenkins has been kind of eh. So all that combined, I don't know what PLC's managed to do in these 2 matches versus DSG and Supernova. I would have to go back and watch. But based off of everything I've seen from Fly C and TLC during the regular season, I'm not really worried for Fly C as long as they keep it like non-shenanigans-esque, non-Surdy having an 0-10 game, Shaden being invisible kind of level stuff. Like as long as like everyone just shows up for the weekend, I'm expecting it to be fine. I'm sure there's going to be one little happy game somewhere in there, which is why I'm predicting a game drop. Right. But it should be fine for FlyQuest Challengers, which is very, very exciting because for the first time ever, because I don't think I've ever predicted FlyQuest to even make it to the finals before, I'm actually predicting FlyQuest to make the finals of NACL. And that is so freaking awesome to see. I'm very, very happy that this org finally gets to go to the NACL finals. That's what I'm predicting. That's what I'm expecting. And I look forward to see whoever makes it back. I'm personally expecting it to be Maryville University. I'm hoping it's Maryville University. I want to see the matchup of Spirax and UG versus this FlyQuest Challenger squad. I think that'll be an awesome storyline.
Can you correct me if I'm wrong? Did Maryville promote? No, they did not promote. They were already in it.
No, they were already in it from last year. They barely snuck in over Team Fish Taco. They literally finished 8th last split and then immediately dropped out of playoffs afterwards. They got like rolled.
Okay, wait. So hang on. I'm trying to find the 2023. I'm trying to find when they joined.
They qualified, if I remember correctly.
Oh, they were not in the
going into
okay,
summer,
so
I think.
Yes, spring 23 was when we had the crazy 16 teams, and they were not in that. And then summer promotion, you're right. They qualified. They beat out TL
Supernova Faith. And TFT, if I remember right.
No, it looked like going into summer, AOE Gold, Team Tony Top, Supernova, and Maryville all qualified, but then it like a whole bunch of teams, and then they made top 8 just over Supernova and Team Fish Taco.
Oh,
that's what you're talking about.
I'm thinking of the actual summer standings. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah. So they barely snuck through, and then have looked much better.
It helps when you put, in my opinion, 2 LCS caliber mid laner and jungler into a roster. It kind of makes your team a little good.
It does numbers.
Well,
it does numbers.
And Niles, to be fair, a former LCS player himself, and Scary Jerry is a guy that is getting a little bit of hype and excitement.
Scary Jerry's leveled up a lot. He was not good last year. He
Yeah.
was really, really rough. He's actually improved a ton, and it's kind of cool to see.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'll certainly be interesting. It'll be a really great weekend, I think, of both LCS and NACL playoffs. So very excited to see how that goes. The other two matches, Disguised in AOE and Fear versus Maryville. Assuming you've got Maryville over Fear, who do you have in Disguised over AOE?
I'm going AOE. I have watched actually both AOE games, and they got something brewing, man. They got a fire under their asses. They look like they figured some stuff out. So
they're cooking.
Disguise, I'm not like Disguise leveled up a little bit too, right? Tenacity's been performing a little bit better, but man, AOE, as you said, AOE's cooking something, and it smells good. I'm ready for them to bring it to my table.
It's crazy to me how far. I know Disguise kind of got shredded as a team, but like Disguise was a team that everyone thought was going to be much better. Going into the season, and they've just been so disappointing. So
at least they had a little bit of a small bounce back.
Yeah,
it's somewhat reassuring. At least Toast isn't firing everyone at the end of the split.
Alrighty. Fire people.
Perfect. I do want to quickly mention, I don't think we have a lot of time to go into it in depth, and frankly, I could not find a ton of information on it, but
I was able to get some score lines. Through some scrounging, I was able to find some info on Philadelphia.
Okay, perfect, because I could find very little, except it appeared that there were 32 teams, and there were 8 like groups of 4 in like the GSL style, and it looks like we broke through to top 16, and then immediately got 2-0'd in the single elim playoff bracket. So
so our journey at Philadelphia starts off actually amazingly. There's this team called Fueled by Hate. My assumption is it was unique to this tournament because I can't see any other history from them. And we were able to 13-0 them 2 games in a row. So we start out strong, and then we have to go against the Fisher College squad. And on our first map, we were able to go 8-13. Second match did not go as well. That, just kind of fell apart for us, but then really had to push it to the limit to get out of that lower bracket in the group stage because Limitless Angels were making their run. And both of our games went to overtime, being 16-12 and 19-16 respectively. So that must have been a lot to get through. But yeah, then sadly, by the time we were able to get it to the knockout stage where it's the brackets, when we got 2-0'd by lag, they were just really able to find a read on us. The second match did have signs of hope because the first match was 13-0. The second map, though, we were able to get 9-13, so a good comeback for some time. Just an unfortunate end. There's a world where that goes to a third game, and who knows, maybe we would have scaled over time if we had been able to get through.
Nice. Well, thank you for that rundown, Curly. Greatly appreciate it. Big, not a big tournament, but like a fun tournament for the CS team to make it out to. Glad they were able to get some LAN under their belts as they start prepping for ESL Impact again. So we'll be looking forward to seeing them there. And just waiting for news on when the next Game Changers tournament kicks up. I'm not seeing anything about it just yet, unfortunately. But hopefully we will get Series 2 going real soon. I don't know if there's been any dates released yet, unfortunately. So,
if I remember what I saw, it said something about either May or June, but I could be wrong.
That is a long way away. Oh boy, it's gonna be a long time from now. All right. Well, I think that's everything we got. So, any final topics from you guys before we close out the night?
Nothing for me.
No, I think we could just kind of wrap it up for the night.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for tuning into yet another episode of Flight Check. Playoffs continue Friday night for FlyQuest Challengers and Saturday afternoon, pardon me, for the FlyQuest LCS team. Cloud9 for the LCS team, TL Challengers for the NACL team. Big matches either way. Be sure to tune in and tune into our Twitter accounts. Our X accounts for all of our instant reactions and thoughts. You can catch the show at x.com/flightcheckcrew, myself at x.com/SantosDB.
Stop, you're killing me.
Nox at x.com/Nox4 with 2 R's.
Don't you say it. Don't you dare.
And Curly at x.com/Curly_QQ_.
Oh.
Make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well, where there's no X's allowed whatsoever. But all kinds of esports discussion and otherwise is taking place in there. And if you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. If you're watching that and would like to catch the show live, we broadcast the episode usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Don't worry, Curly. Eventually, X will buy Twitch, and I'll say x.tv/FlightCheckCrew. So, you know.
Stop. You are creating a nightmare scenario. Choose this path.
Well, on that note, Curly, any final notes or shout-outs before we close out the show?
Oh, shout out to fxtwitter.com being the superior way to embed tweets in Discord from the Twitter website, the superior social media platform. And also shout out to my bronze teammates today for being not bad because, you know, I'm in my ADC era, so I quite literally live and die by their quality. So yeah, shout out to them. I got back up to bronze 3 and I'm hoping some Senna Smolder abuse can bring me all the way back up to silver. Who knows?
I learned the other day, Curly, I played 3 games of jungle on Jungle Champs that I almost never play or first timed. I played Rek'Sai and Poppy for the first time in a while. And then I first-timed Vi. And let me tell you guys, Vi is maybe an even easier champ than Trundle. Because, like, Trundle, you have to, like, place your pillar correctly, yeah? To, like, you know, get the interrupter, block off the terrain. Vi, you just have a point-and-click ulti. Like, stupid. Stupid
It's fun.
Stuff. But very fun. Nox, any shout-outs, plugs from you before we close out?
Shout out to Ryobi, my new weed whacker.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything. I'm more house stuff.
Homeowner Nox.
Homeowner Nox. He's in his homeowner era.
It's a great era. I love it.
It's a good era. Shout out to March Madness. It's about to be a great time of college basketball for all of us. You're being asked if it's electric, Nox War.
Oh, yes, it is electric. And it is very quiet, which is very nice. So I can actually get up at like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. in the morning on the weekend, and I can actually let that stuff rip, and it's like not waking up the neighbors. It's fantastic.
That's brilliant.
It's the little things.
It is the little things. All right. We'll be back next week discussing the results of LCS and NACL playoffs. So for now, stay safe out there. Bite your teeth. Do not forget to hit the head on the nail.
You remember.
See you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.
I did remember.
Nice.
Now to strike. to strike.